Melissa Gilbert has been in the public eye almost her entire life. But at 6, she's finally opening up about something deeply personal, the truth about her friendship and experience with Patty Duke. Before we reach that turning point, it's important to understand the long journey that brought Melissa to this place of honesty and peace. Melissa Ellen Gilbert was born on May 8, 1964, in Los Angeles, California. She didn't come from an ordinary family. Her life was shaped by the world of show business right from the start. Adopted as a baby by actor and comedian Paul Gilbert and his wife Barbara Crane, Melissa grew up surrounded by cameras, scripts, and creativity. Her adoptive parents encouraged her to follow her heart, and she quickly discovered that acting was not just something she wanted to do. It was part of who she was. Her big break came early. When Melissa was only 9 years old, she landed the role that would change her life forever. Laura Ingalls Wilder in Little House on the Prairie. The show aired from 1974 to 1983 and became one of the most beloved family dramas in television history. It told the story of the Ingalls family as they faced the struggles and joys of pioneer life. For millions of viewers, Melissa wasn't just playing a role, she was Half-Pint, the brave and kind daughter of Charles Ingalls, played by Michael Landon. The connection between Melissa and Michael Landon was especially strong. He wasn't just her TV father, he became a mentor and guide in her real life as well. Melissa has said that he taught her discipline, patience, and how to stay humble despite fame. Week after week, she grew up in front of the camera, learning valuable lessons about love, responsibility, and life. Audiences all around the world fell in love with her charm, her expressive eyes, and her ability to show real emotion, even as a child. But life as a child star was not always as perfect as it looked on screen. Behind the warm scenes of Little House, Melissa faced the kind of pressure that most children never experience. Fame came with expectations and the loss of privacy. She had to balance schoolwork, filming schedules, and growing up under the spotlight, even at such a young age. She understood that the entertainment world could be tough, competitive, and sometimes lonely. When Little House on the Prairie ended in 1983, Melissa was ready to explore new challenges. She took on several television movies and roles that showed her ability to handle more serious, emotional material. One of those roles would introduce her to Patty Duke, and it would leave a mark that stayed with her for decades. In 19, Melissa was chosen to play Helen Keller in The Miracle Worker, a powerful story about a young deaf and blind girl who learns to communicate through the help of her teacher, Anne Sullivan. Playing Helen Keller was one of the biggest challenges of Melissa's early career. The role required deep emotion, physical effort, and maturity far beyond her years. But what made this project even more meaningful was her co-star, the legendary Patty Duke. Patty Duke was not just any actress. Years before, she had won an Academy Award for playing Helen Keller in the original 1962 movie version of The Miracle Worker. Now, she returned to the same story, but this time as the teacher, Anne Sullivan, guiding a new generation of Helen. For Melissa, this was both an honor and an intimidating experience. She was acting opposite someone she deeply admired, someone who had once stood exactly where she now stood. During filming, Melissa observed Patty closely. She was amazed by Patty's focus, energy, and emotional intensity. But she also noticed something else, a deep sadness behind her strength. Patty had gone through many personal struggles, including mental health challenges, and she carried those experiences into her work. Melissa didn't fully understand it then, but she could sense the pain and passion that drove Patty's performance. Their working relationship wasn't always easy. Patty demanded a lot from herself and everyone around her. She wanted authenticity in every scene, and sometimes her perfectionism created tension. But despite those moments, Melissa grew to respect her even more. She later said that Patty taught her lessons about discipline, honesty, and the courage to be vulnerable on screen. At the time, Melissa was just a teenager trying to find her place in Hollywood. She didn't yet realize how deeply this experience would influence her understanding of people, fame, and mental health. Patty Duke became a symbol of strength to her, a woman who fought personal battles while still giving everything to her art. That project marked a turning point in Melissa's life. She started to see acting not just as a job, but as a form of emotional truth. It wasn't only about pretending to be someone else. It was about revealing real human feelings, even the painful ones. That was a lesson she carried into her adult career, and one that she would later connect directly to her memories of Patty Duke. After The Miracle Worker, Melissa continued her rise in television and film. She played dramatic roles in movies like Choices of the Heart 1983, where she portrayed missionary Jean Donovan. Each role showed her growth as an actress and as a person. She learned how to balance vulnerability and strength, something she had first witnessed in Patty Duke. As she entered adulthood, Melissa began facing the realities of fame in a new way. The innocence of childhood was gone, and with it came more pressure to stay relevant, to look a certain way, to prove she could succeed beyond Little House on the Prairie. Hollywood is a tough place, especially for young women trying to transition from child stars to adult actors. Melissa experienced that struggle firsthand. Still, she pushed through. She appeared in various television shows and became known for her dedication and work ethic. Her performances in Stand By Your Man and Sweet Justice showed that she could handle both comedy and drama. She was determined to show the world that she was more than the little girl from Walnut Grove. But while her professional life stayed busy, her personal life was filled with ups and downs. Melissa's relationships often played out in the public eye, and she experienced both love and heartbreak. In 1988, she married actor Bo Brinkman, and they had a son, Dakota Paul Brinkman, the following year. Their marriage, however, was not meant to last. After 6 years together, they divorced in 1994. Just a year later, she found love again with actor Bruce Boxleitner, best known for Scarecrow and Mrs. King and the Tron movies. The two shared a deep bond, and in 1995, they got married. Together, they had a son, Michael Garrett Boxleitner, named after Melissa's mentor and father figure, Michael Landon. The couple stayed together for 16 years before parting ways in 2011. During these years, Melissa also grew as a leader. From 2001 to 2005, she served as president of the Screen Actors Guild (SAG), representing thousands of performers across the country. She fought for better pay, health benefits, and fair working conditions for actors. It was not an easy job, but it showed her strength and ability to stand up for others, traits that echoed Patty Duke's own courage in speaking out about mental health. As the years passed, Melissa began to look inward. The pressures of Hollywood, the changes in her personal life, and the desire for something deeper led her to focus on her own growth. In 2009, she published her memoir Prairie, where she spoke openly about her life, the good, the bad, and the painful. She wrote about her struggles with addiction, her recovery, and the lessons she learned about self. Fans appreciated her honesty and courage. She was no longer hiding behind a perfect image. She was showing the world who she really was. In that book and in later interviews, she also reflected on her time with Patty Duke. She described how, as a young actress, she hadn't fully understood Patty's behavior, her intensity, her mood swings, and her demanding nature. But as an adult, Melissa realized that Patty had been battling bipolar disorder, something she had been very open about in her own life. Melissa came to see Patty not as difficult, but as deeply human. Melissa later said that Patty Duke taught her one of the most important lessons of her life, that vulnerability is not weakness, it's strength. Patty showed her that even in pain, there is beauty and purpose. That truth became central to Melissa's outlook on life. After Patty Duke's death in 2016, Melissa publicly honored her former She wrote that Patty was one of the most fearless women she had ever known, and that working with her changed her life. Patty's openness about mental health inspired Melissa to speak more honestly about her own struggles, helping others feel less alone. Melissa's later years became defined by authenticity. She wanted to live a life that felt real, away from the spotlight and the constant expectations of Hollywood. In 2013, she married actor and director Timothy Buss. The two moved to a quiet town in Michigan, far from Los Angeles. There, they restored an old Victorian home and built a peaceful, simple life together. Melissa often says that this move helped her rediscover herself. She started gardening, cooking, writing, and connecting with her local community. She no longer cared about Hollywood glamour or chasing fame. Instead, she focused on happiness, health, and love. She also began speaking out about aging naturally, rejecting the pressure to look young forever. She believes beauty comes from self-acceptance and gratitude. At this stage of her life, Melissa has truly found balance. She continues to write, act occasionally, and advocate for causes she believes in, but most importantly, she lives with honesty, something she says she learned from watching people like Michael Landon and Patty Duke live with raw truth. Looking back, Melissa Gilbert's story is not just about fame or success. It's about growth, healing, and finding truth. From a child star adored by millions to a woman who has faced her own struggles, she has shown that resilience and honesty can carry you through any challenge. When she talks about Patty Duke today, there is no bitterness, only understanding. Melissa admits that as a teenager, she didn't see the full picture. She only saw Patty as strong and demanding. But now, at 61, she realizes that Patty was also teaching her not just acting skills, but life lessons. Patty Duke had lived a complex life. She battled mental illness, survived trauma, and still managed to achieve greatness. Her courage in speaking publicly about her bipolar disorder helped change the way the world talked about mental health. Melissa has said that seeing Patty's openness gave her the courage to be honest about her own pain, about addiction, failed relationships, and the emotional scars left by a lifetime in the spotlight. In one of her interviews, Melissa said, "Patty Duke showed me that honesty heals. When you speak the truth, you give others permission to do the same." That statement perfectly captures what makes Melissa Gilbert's story so powerful. She doesn't hide behind fame. She uses her platform to inspire others to live truthfully and without shame, even today. She stays connected with her fans, often through social media and interviews, reminding people that it's okay to age, to change, and to keep learning. She talks about her life with gratitude for her family, her friends, her fans, and even her hardships. Everything she's experienced has made her who she is. Melissa's later career has been about more than acting. It's about living with purpose. She continues to write, produce, and support causes close to her heart, like animal welfare, mental health awareness, and community projects. She has also become an example for women everywhere who want to embrace life at every stage, rather than fear getting older. Now, when she reflects on her journey, she often brings up Patty Duke's influence. The truth she finally tells is not a scandal, it's a heartfelt acknowledgement of how much Patty meant to her. Patty was flawed, complicated, and brave, and Melissa now sees those same qualities in herself. She has come to realize that our heroes are not perfect, but their imperfections are what make them real. Melissa often says that she is at peace now. Living a simpler life has helped her reconnect with what really matters: love, family, nature, and honesty. She no longer measures success by fame or money, but by how authentic she feels each day. She calls this period of her life her second act, one that's about giving back, mentoring others, and enjoying small joys like cooking, writing, and spending time with her husband. Her story with Patty Duke remains one of the most defining parts of her life. Patty was the teacher and the miracle worker, but in many ways, she became a teacher in life too. She showed Melissa how to channel emotion, how to stand tall, even when misunderstood, and how to face the truth about yourself. When Patty passed away, Melissa said she felt a deep sense of loss, but also gratitude. She knew that Patty's lessons would stay with her forever. She said, "Patty Duke gave me one of the greatest gifts, the courage to live honestly. She showed me that it's okay to be broken and beautiful at the same time." Today, Melissa Gilbert continues to share that message with the world. Through her words, her actions, and her example, she encourages people to embrace who they are, completely and unapologetically. Her truth about Patty Duke is not just about their time on set, it's about understanding, compassion, and the beauty of imperfection. At 6, Melissa stands as proof that it's never too late to tell your story, to make peace with your past, and to celebrate the people who helped shape you, even if they were once the hardest to understand.